Okay, we are live on YouTube webcam. We're going live on add title. Let's go here. There we go. Secrets to allergies this season. Go live. And going live on Instagram. Could even go live on TikTok, but I won't. All right. So, good stuff. Live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and live on Instagram. It's too bad I can't change the setting here with regards to the Instagram, looking at the camera. Hey guys, what's going on? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Brennan here, gonna go live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, talking about the 5 secrets that pharmaceutical companies don't want you to know about allergy season. Hey everyone, there's Andre. Hey Andre, nice to see you. Lindsay, Steph, Sam, good to see you. Brooke, Soul Wandering Journey, good to see you guys. Sam, all right, talking about allergies. Now, when I moved back from Cayman Islands and Costa Rica, I was literally hit by a bag of bricks. It felt as though my allergies were absolutely horrible. Before we start, maybe we can just get everyone to chime in on the chats where you're from. It'd be really cool to see where you guys are from. Hey, Steph, nice to see you. Jim, thanks for tuning in. Another Steph, good to see you. Seneflo, nice to see you. So again, I just got absolutely hammered by allergies. And it was so bad, I was literally buying a box of Reactant a week. Steph is from Mississauga. Was that Brooke? There's Brooke from Utah. Nice. Good to see you, Brooke. Vanessa, nice to see you. Innisfil, Rhonda's from Innisfil. Great. And I was going through a box of Reactant a week. It was absolutely horrible. My nose was running so much. My eyes were running. My eyes were watery, puffy, red. It was horrible, literally going through a box of Reactant a week. And when I sought out my mentor, Dr. Nandor Bajuz, and we were going to reset my gut, he said, Coatsers, the reason why you have allergies is because you have a leaky gut. I'm like, what does my gut have anything to do with my allergies? It's completely not related at all. And he basically just, patted me on my back and be like, oh, you're so cute. There. Why don't you sit down? Let's put a kettle on and let me educate you. So it was literally like a 2-hour consultation where he taught me all about the nuances of the gut, correlating it to my allergies. And it's been years and years and years later. No allergies. I have 0 allergies. So in today's live, we're going to be talking about the 5 secrets, what you can do to incorporate right now, today, to improve your allergies, because it's allergy season. Actually, I saw a article, I don't know where it was, on Globe and Mail or something like that, that allergy season is even earlier than expected. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Let me know in the chat if any of you guys have allergies. If you have allergies, let me know what kind of allergies that you have, so I can remember and I can incorporate them into today's presentation so I don't forget. So please type in the chat, what type of allergies do you have? And then I will incorporate them on. I've got a couple of people from Facebook, nothing on YouTube, because this is my first time going live on YouTube. Just trying to feed this social media machine, and I've got a whole bunch of you guys here on Instagram, so I appreciate that. All right, so Stephanie says, shocking, right? Surprise, surprise. It's no surprise at all. Big pharma and all that stuff, mainstream media. Love One Young, so that's Brooke. She's got dog allergies, pollen allergies, and seasonal allergies. And Elaine, Rain of Elaine, if you're just chiming in, we're talking about the 5 secrets of allergies. Okay, let's begin. Now, again, I do apologize with this being in reverse. On Instagram or Facebook and YouTube, you can see it correctly. Here you can't. I really should probably maybe even just turn the camera on, but then I won't be able to see you guys. So just going to move this just a little bit more. 5 secrets to allergies. Number 1, oral microbiome. Your mouth has a microbiome. in and of itself separate from what the gut has, the microbiome. Stephanie Soul Awake says, I've had allergies for years. It was like 10 years ago, lived on all kinds of drugs to function. I looked like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, years of blowing my nose so much, dogs, outdoor pollen. Okay. Oh, there's Martine from Quebec. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Okay, Steph, we will definitely cover that. There's Anthony. Nice to see you. Okay. So again, number one, oral microbiome. We've got a microbiome in our mouth, different from that what we have in our gut. And gut health begins actually with our oral microbiome. Now, most people, and this was me, I used to do this. Most people rinse their mouth with Listerine or Scope or those harsh mouthwashes. What happens when you use the sort of conventional, over-the-counter, mainstream, store-bought mouthwashes? It just absolutely wipes out the healthy bacteria in your mouth. It just completely dissolves all of them. It wipes them out. In fact, it also does kill the bad bacteria, but it paves the way for the pathogenic and opportunistic bacteria to form even faster than the healthy bacteria that we require in our oral microbiome. So if you're using Scope, Listerine, those traditional mouthwashes, I strongly urge you to stop using them because they're completely, it's like a nuclear bomb immediately in your mouth for just killing off all of the healthy bacteria. Cavities form in the presence of a dysbiotic oral microbiome. Obviously, sugar is a factor as well. Okay, so mouthwash, bacteria, you want to feed your healthy bacteria in your mouth, and you don't want to feed the bad guys. And when you nuclear attack the oral microbiome with Scope or Listerine, you're killing off all the good bacteria as well as the bad bacteria. Again, you're paving the way for the pathogens to form once that sort of Scope is gone. Now, also gum, artificial sweeteners, erythritol, xylitol, all sorts of alcohols, sweeteners. I said xylitol, Splenda. Those types of things are also very, very advantageous, and they promote the growth of pathogenic bacteria. I'd really stay away from chewing gum. There's no benefit to it. It impedes your body's ability to produce stomach acid. It confuses it. It confuses your brain. It tricks your brain thinking that there's food. So it's trying to secrete all these digestive juices, but there's no digestion required. Plus, you're inhaling a whole bunch of air. So I would definitely take away gum. Like even the holistic good types of gum, there's no benefit to it. And finally, here's a tip that I want to suggest is oil pulling. Has anyone heard of oil pulling before? I just want you guys to chime in really, really quick. Go in the chat. Let me know if you've heard of oil pulling. Oil pulling. Oil pulling. Let's see if anyone is familiar with oil pulling. Oil pulling, what that is what mouthwash is good? Toothpaste, brushing, tongue, good or bad? Great question. Great question. I'm going to reverse track just a little bit. Tongue scraping is one of my favorite suggestions. It's an ancient practice. Very, very ancient. The best thing to do when you're scraping your tongue is upon awakening in the morning. First thing in the morning, just scrape your tongue because that's one less thing that your body has to process, especially your immune system. Because when you are sleeping, your body's in a state of detoxification and it's eliminating a lot of those pathogens and cellular debris, and it's going up the esophagus and it's residing on the back of your tongue. When you tongue scrape, you're essentially eliminating all of those things that your body was trying to eliminate. However, if you start your day with a cup of coffee, or you just drink some water, or you have some cereal or whatever, you're essentially swallowing all those things that needed to be eliminated. So that will impede your immune system. It'll put a stress on your immune system. Someone says, I don't have 20 minutes of someone not coming to interrupt. You're going to have to explain what you mean with that. So tongue scraping is great. And then I would go into oil pulling. For those that don't know what oil pulling is, you simply just get a teaspoon or a tablespoon of coconut oil, put it in your mouth, swirl it around for 15, 10 minutes, 20 minutes if you really, really want, and then spit it out in the garbage. Bonus, if you want to supercharge the oil pulling, I would just put in 1 or 2 drops of mint or peppermint essential oil. Don't do oil of oregano or anything because that's too strong. And that oil is antibacterial, antifungal, antimicrobial, and that will sort of behave like a mouthwash. You're binding with all of the pathogens, you're eliminating them with the coconut oil. Again, it's also antibacterial, antifungal, antimicrobial, and you're getting the power of the essential oils, which is also going to zap and kill off any of those bad guys. And it's going to also taste amazing. And it's going to leave you with a full, fresh breath of air, just like you had with Scope, but without the harmful chemicals and the colors and the alcohol that just wipes out your beneficial bacteria. So that's number one. Oral microbiome. Understand that you require a nice, healthy, robust microbiome. I would also stay away from toothpaste with fluoride in it. I personally make my own. One of the other things that you could do is food grade hydrogen peroxide, 3%. It does not sting. It doesn't hurt. Now, if you've got lesions and sores in your mouth, it might sting. If you've got gingivitis or any form of inflammatory condition with your gums, it might sting, but it's cleaning at the same time. So if you want to, you can even water it down just a little bit, but the 3% food grade hydrogen peroxide will be incredible for you to replace your traditional Scope and Listerine mouthwash. Now, we've got that taken care of. I'll use my red pen for a red check mark. Next one, food sensitivities, common triggers. Got to understand, if your body, and if you have food sensitivities or allergies, and you're consuming these foods on a daily basis, and you don't necessarily know that you're allergic to them or you're sensitive to them, but your body is, right? It's triggering an IgG or an IgA response. Over time, that's going to put a serious stress and strain on your immune system. And what happens is, over time, if you're continuously consuming foods that you're allergic to, that's triggering an immune response, that's going to essentially overwork and overburden and stress the immune system so much that when you are exposed to seasonal allergies, for example, it's kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, right? So maybe you're functioning along great in the wintertime, right? Because the seasonal allergies are low, but you're stressing your body when you're consuming these food allergens. Storyteller, hey, that's Adam. I know, dude. If Adam, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, it's going to be straight. Now, here's what I could do. I could turn the thing around, but then I can't see the comments, and I need to see the comments. So you guys just have to bear with me and listen, and sort of dismiss that it's backwards. I know, Adam. I get it. Yeah. So next time I'm going to have my other phone, and then I'm going to watch my Instagram, so then I can watch the comments, but then I'm going to turn the other one around so I can see it. Thanks for pointing that, though. I appreciate it. Now, Adam, don't forget, you raised a great question with the enzymes about today's post. So I will address that in the live call. Just remind me if you stick around, remind me, and I'll address that. So again, talking about the food sensitivities and the allergens. If you're consuming foods that you are allergic to or that you're sensitive to, over time, it will continue to stress and weaken your immune system. And so again, it's kind of like that straw that broke the camel's back. Wintertime, there's no allergens around. But then once spring comes around and the pollen starts flying around, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. That's that one add-on that puts a stress on your immune system, and that's when the expression of seasonal allergies happens. So it's kind of like they were there the whole time almost, right? Your immune system was just tired and just trying to fend off all of these foods that you shouldn't be eating or that are causing an immune response. And then it's just one more thing, and then that's where you get the seasonal allergies. So what are the common triggers? What are the common foods that most people are allergic and sensitive to? Okay, well, common triggers. Gluten. Guys, I know you've heard this before, but I can't stress this enough. Stop consuming gluten. I made a great post today on my Instagram, why gluten is so problematic for so many people. And I'll reference it again today. When we consume gluten, there's different types of peptides that are very difficult to digest, as well as there's different peptides found in other wheat, rye, barley, grains, not just gluten, that have the same effect. What happens is these proteins are very difficult to digest. When we consume them, they essentially go onto the gut They trigger an immune response because the gut can't digest them properly. These proteins go into the systemic bloodstream, causing an immune response. And therefore, when you are continuously stimulating the immune system over and over and over and over and over again, with gluten, for example, the immune system gets tired. The immune system's like, okay, I'm trying to attack these gluten proteins and these gluten molecules. And maybe they're doing it, but at some point, sooner or later, it's called molecular mimicry or loss of oral tolerance. The body's like, done, calling it in quits. We're throwing it in the white towel. We can't fend off the gluten anymore. Boom, autoimmune condition. So that's why gluten is just so problematic. Stop consuming gluten and just be really, really cognizant of the foods that you're eating, because there are hidden ingredients that contain gluten. Dairy, exact same thing. Casein, for example, whey, for example, a lot of people don't have the enzyme lactase, because they can't break down lactose. So when you are consuming dairy, for example, and you've got leaky gut, you've got compromised digestion, these proteins over time continuously stimulate an immune response, causing the immune response, weakening the immune response, and therefore, again, there's that straw that broke the camel's back. All of a sudden, you got seasonal allergies. But if you take out these problematic foods, that's one less thing or two less things or three less things that your immune system doesn't have to process. And therefore, if it's being exposed to the environmental toxin or allergens, you're not necessarily going to have these seasonal allergies. Vanessa says, I cut out gluten several years ago and noticed a huge difference with my sinus being better and clear. See, it's amazing. Now, there's going to be some more components that we can add on to your efforts. Adam the Storyteller says, gluten immediately makes me bloated and makes my stomach upset. Yep. It's too hard to digest, folks. It's too hard. Rain of Elaine says A2 dairy. It's a good point. Now, the only time I suggest or I encourage people to consume dairy if it's raw and it's from a factory farmed animal source, right? It's not factory farmed. Okay, so regardless if it's A1, A2, these proteins, yes, there's a big difference with the A2 protein. However, if it's homogenized, right, and if it's coming from a factory farm, you know that they're going to be just burdened with hormones and growth factors, and it's processed, right? So these proteins are going to be denatured, and they're still going to be difficult to digest. So to answer your question, Rain, unless it is raw, I would not recommend consuming A2 dairy from a store. It's just not necessary. Okay, next, soy, corn, sweets. Soy is also generally problematic. Why? Soy is A, genetically modified. B, it's highly sprayed with glyphosate, also known as Roundup. That compound is so toxic. It's a carcinogen. And so what they've done, Monsanto is quite smart. What they've done is they've genetically modified the seeds so that these seeds, when they grow, they withstand the poison and the effects sprayed by glyphosate. So they can essentially withstand and absorb the glyphosate without the ramifications of being poisoned. However, it's got the glyphosate in it. So not only is it genetically modified, it's being sprayed with glyphosate. So you're consuming the chemicals and the pesticides. And in addition to that, soy is a phytoestrogen. So someone who's got estrogen dominance generally doesn't do well with soy. And someone who's got hormonal issues, they're gonna get estrogen dominant because of the phytoestrogens found in soy. Same thing with corn. Corn is genetically modified. Lots of Roundup, lots of glyphosate. It's very difficult to digest. And then, of course, sweets, artificial sweeteners, sweets, processed foods, those significantly weaken the immune system. Sugar in and of itself weakens the immune system. Adam says, which one would you recommend? It's the same thing. Like, I don't, with regards to the milk, I don't recommend the A2 or the A1. I would just recommend, if you've got a relationship where if you can find a farmer that sells, or if you can be part of a cow share program where you can get raw unpasteurized milk, do that. There's a lot of places now that are doing raw unpasteurized water buffalo. You can do that as well. I just don't recommend buying A2 milk from a grocery store, even if it's organic, because it's still processed, right? It's still pasteurized. Steph says gluten gives me heart palpitations, huge bloating, hives, gluten and iron. No, it's not. I don't recommend it. Stacy on Facebook says, is aged cheddar okay? So Stacy is part of my rehabilitation program and even one of my facilitators. Stacy, you know the answer for that. You know the answer to that. It's only appropriate when you've healed and sealed your gut. That's the only time. Aged cheese is okay for that. So food sensitivities, just understand that if you, one of my favorite doctors, Dr. Tom O'Brien, he says that a lot of times people will say, well, I feel fine. I feel fine when I eat gluten. It doesn't affect me. And he jokes, he says, okay, well, we'll put that on your tombstone, because if you continuously eat gluten over time, it will stress and strain your immune system so much that it will lead to an autoimmune condition. That's a bold statement. It's a bold statement. And it's the same thing with many of these allergenic foods. So it's not just gluten. If your body is sensitive to it and it's causing an immune response over and 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 over again, the body's going to lose loss of oral tolerance. The immune system's going to be like, okay, we've had it, done. We're quitting. We're giving up. And then that's when things really take over and really start to stress your body. So that's number 2. Number 3, environmental stressors. This is where you've got to be really cognizant and pay attention to your environment in your home. I did this when I first moved. One of the biggest things is mold. I really wanted to stay away from mold because mold is so toxic for the body. It crosses into the blood-brain barrier, it causes inflammation, and it's very difficult to eliminate. It puts a major strain and stress on your immune system. So what I did is I hired, and you can do this. I don't have a link or anything like that, but you can find, if you just do a Google, you do mold inspection, and it literally, they come in and they'll do like a whole air test in your home, in your basement, and they'll determine if you've got mold present, and they can pinpoint exactly where it is, and then they can eliminate it properly. So if it's really, really bad, then you've got to get in a renovation crew of some sort. But if it's not too bad, you can do it yourself. And so I actually found, because I was in an old apartment, the hood under the oven had mold on it, old mold. And so we replaced the hood under or on top of the oven. That's now eliminated. And that's one less thing that my body has to process. One less thing that my immune system has to fight. Right? One less thing that's taxing and toxic on my body, so that now I've eliminated that. That's a factor that I can control. And then when I am exposed to environmental toxins, my immune system can act on that accordingly without being exhausted already. So I strongly recommend test your home for mold. And this is the same thing for work. If you work in like a gymnastics community center or a gym, a lot of times under the mats, there's mold. So, you do your best. You really do your best. Dust, pollution, right? Just start cleaning your environment more and more and more. Understand that these things, they continuously stress your immune system. Now, EMF, electromagnetic frequencies, that's another thing that, like, look at me. I'm in my studio right now. I've got, when I'm rolling, when I've got the podcast going, I've got 1, 2, 3 monitors going. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 lights going, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 cameras going. So you can imagine the EMF that I'm being exposed to. And I've noticed it. I've really noticed it. So I've got on order an EMF device that mitigates the exposure to EMF. What else do I do? I've got a timer on my Wi-Fi device, and so the timer automatically turns off at 10 o'clock at p.m., and it doesn't turn on until I think 7 o'clock a.m. So when I'm sleeping, I'm not being exposed to the Wi-Fi frequencies, emitting those electromagnetic frequencies. It's just one less thing that my body has to process, right? So I'm trying to really teach you guys the compound effect. The more and more things that we're exposed to, the more it stresses our immune system. And so the more things that you can control, more factors that you can really own to mitigate and eliminate from your body. Again, your body can then process other things that we're exposed to. Because think about it, we're exposed to thousands and thousands and thousands of chemicals and environmental toxins every day over the years, right? Now, also, I am going to include sympathetic stressors. So your perceptions. What do you perceive things? How do you perceive things? Are you exposed to your boss stressing you out? Money stressing you out, your spouse stressing you out, your kids stressing you out, your job stressing you out, the person on the highway that cut you off, is it stressing you out? Are you constantly paying attention to the news? Is that stressing you out? All of those things significantly put a major stress on your immune system. And if you are in a chronic state of sympathetic dominance, that is going to weaken your immune system. I can't stress this enough, pardon the pun, stress, right? So in addition to your environment, you really do have to pay attention to what triggers you. And if you can sort of mitigate that, if you can have a good stress management and you practice meditation and exercise, and you're just got more awareness, and maybe you have got conscious awareness, you're not going to be as equally as stressed. So that's a big one. Now, number 4, over-the-counter drugs. If you've stuck around with me so far this long, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. This is a big one. We're going to be talking about the over-the-counter drugs. So Reactin, Aleve, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, histamine suppressants. These are big. These are really important because most people, when they are dealing with seasonal allergies, they go right to the pharmacy, right to Shoppers Drug Mart or Walgreens or wherever they are, and they want drugs to suppress their symptoms. I was there. I did it. I really did it. And I'm just going to move this. I remember going through a box of Reactin every week. It was horrible. Barb says, oh my God, just right through me. Stress. Yes, Barb is also a graduate of mine, but your stressors you don't get stressed out as much as you used to. You used to be a stress bag, but we worked on that. So with regards to purchasing seasonal allergy medication, it might help you sort of function. I remember when I was bartending, I was literally just like dripping some over, not into people's drinks because I was taking the medication, but it was horrible. It was really bad. So again, once I sought out my mentor, Dr. Nando Brajus, he unveiled the truth and he exposed what was going on to my body, how my gut was related, why I was completely nuclear attacking my oral microbiome with my scope and Listerine and my fluoride toothpaste. And the food that I was eating was putting a major stress on my immune system. Of course, I'm going to have seasonal allergies because my immune system can't manage and it can't process the seasonal allergies because it's already too busy processing other things that I'm exposing to on purpose, inadvertently, by accident, but I've got control over that. So with regards to non-steroidal anti-inflammatories and histamine blockers, what they do basically, they just put a Band-Aid on top of the symptoms. So there are local symptoms, there are local allergens, and then there are systemic. So first I'm going to go into local. So some of these allergens go into our eyes, they go into our nose, they itch our throats, they can itch our skin. Those are local. So that's triggering an immediate response. And that's causing swelling, that's causing inflammation, that's causing histamine, that's causing mucus to build up. Basically what it's doing is, think of it like this. Let's say this is the allergen, right? You can see that. Oh, Instagram can't see it. I'm going to move it over. Let's say this is the allergen right here. So what happens is the body produces, through its infinite wisdom, it secretes mucus and histamine, and it basically encapsulates the allergen, right? But these chemicals within the histamine and the inflammatory chemicals, that induces swelling, that induces, right, the watery eyes, the runny nose, et cetera, et cetera. So if you think about it, if you take a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, what is that doing? It's just basically masking this whole process, right? But the allergen is still there, right? And the body, through its infinite wisdom, is still launching an attack on the allergen. So the whole process is happening, but guess what isn't happening? The body doesn't recognize that the immune system is working. So all it's doing is just masking the symptoms, but you're still having an immune response. these allergens are still invading throughout the whole body into the systemic bloodstream. Guess what? Where else are these allergens going? They're also going to the blood-brain barrier as well. But when you've got these allergens continuously being exposed into the blood-brain barrier, it's causing an immune response, and that's going to stress the immune system, right? So what you've got to do is don't just mask it. You've got to support and strengthen your immune system so much so that it can attack it and expose of it accordingly. But right now, when someone has seasonal allergies, their body is not in a position to eliminate the allergens adequately. Hence why you've got the symptoms. Hence, because the immune system is already taxed and already overburdened. So it's understanding that, sure, those drugs might help temporarily. In an acute setting, I get it. But at the same time, you've got to do the work on the back end to really eliminate the stress, and you've got to strengthen the immune system. And so that's where we get into leaky gut, the root cause. Leaky gut is the root cause, and allergies are an expression of leaky gut. Here's why. When we are exposed to, pardon me, I forgot my water. When we're exposed to allergens, right? Environmental allergens. When we're exposed to foods that we're allergic or sensitive to, if we do not have an integral protective gut lining that's working, the gut is two processes. The gut, our intestines, and our stomach, its job is to absorb nutrients, the micronutrients, right? Enzymes, minerals, amino acids, and the healthy fats. Its phytonutrients, its job is to absorb and then distribute accordingly into the body. However, in addition to that, its job is also to prevent things from invading into the bloodstream and into the body. So what does it prevent? It prevents allergens, food additives, undigested foods, toxins, food additives like drugs, even environmental toxins. Those things are not meant to invade into our bloodstream. And so what happens is when someone has leaky gut, when someone has compromised digestion, when someone is not eliminating properly, right? Like maybe they've got constipation. What happens is the body is now starting to absorb those things that didn't belong. Remember tongue scraping? If you're not tongue scraping, that was supposed to be eliminated is being re-swallowed, going back into the immune system or going back into the gut, invading into the systemic bloodstream, again, causing an immune response. So this is why I've developed my gut rehabilitation program, because it addresses the root cause. So many specialists, all of the allergenic specialists, they treat you topically. They treat you with non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. They treat you with antihistamine drugs. But do they ask about your stomach acid? Do they ask about your gut? I'm sure that they say, oh, you're having an immune response, a hypersensitive immune response. Have you ever met anyone with sweaty palms before? That's leaky gut. Why? Because their immune system is so stressed and is trying to process so many things that don't belong in the body. It's literally increased its core temperature, and they're jacked up through the roof on cortisol, hence why they've got sweaty hands. So again, that's why I created my gut rehabilitation program, because when you heal and seal the gut, you literally stop allergies in its tracks. I'm proof to this. I used to go through Reactin like every single week. And when I sought out my mentor, Dr. Nando Bajus, he said, Coatsers, we're going to fix your gut first, and I guarantee you your allergies will get better. Mark, honestly, swear on my life, within, 10 days, no more allergies. And guys, if you've been following me for a long time, like I've got a motorcycle. I don't have a mask. I wear my motorcycle all the time. And when I come home, sometimes it's just a little bit of an itch. And that just means that I've really been exposed to allergens, but that's it. It's gone. Like there's nothing there because my immune system is strong enough and it's so robust, it can counteract and fight those allergens. And again, that's why the gut rehabilitation program is so impactful, because it addresses all of this from the root cause and all the way up, right? Most people are treating symptoms and it's not working, right? It's too far downstream, where when we look upstream and we really look at the root cause, it's always the gut, right? So when you heal and seal the gut, the body is now in a position to combat and fight those allergens that we're exposed to on a daily basis. Because let's face it, guys, there's no escape. You see the chemtrails in the air, the pollution, whether you believe in what's it called, climate change or not, our air is not getting cleaner. That's for sure, right? Unless you're going to move to the Caribbean or something like that. So what are you going to do? You have to take your health in your own hands. You've got to eliminate the triggers. You've got to get rid of those allergens. You've got to improve your oral microbiome with some basic practices, holistic practices. Do an assessment with your home and your environment. Try to get rid of any allergens like mold or anything like that. Do some dusting, do some regular cleaning. Take a look at, understand like the over-the-counter drugs, they're just masking it. Even pharmaceutical drugs, they're just masking it. And then if you really want to fix it, and if you really want to prevent it, heal and seal your gut. And again, that is why I've created the #1 world's best, most comprehensive step-by-step program where I hold your hand every single step of the way, where not only do I teach you the nuances of leaky gut, and I teach you even more in depth of what I just talked about today, we literally stop allergies in its tracks, because we go at it with the root cause, which is right at the gut. And so that's why I'm here, is because I'm so passionate to help people from grassroots, from fundamentals, and it's always at the gut. If you guys have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask. There's a lot of people that are tuning in. Stephanie says, oh my God, this is me. Well, Steph, you just signed up. So we're working together. I'm super excited. I'm glad that you tuned into this, because you're getting some real insights as to what the program is involved in, how I'm able to help so many people and how it's so effective. And it's amazing. The body and the gut is infinitely complex, and yet it's so simple. And for me, it's simple. I've been studying this for years and years and years. I've literally spent the last almost 15 years studying and understanding and just really diving deep into the nuances of gut health. And there's not a lot of people like me. There's not a lot of practitioners like me that address the gut the way that I do. And how did I do that? I've been studying from some of the best in the world, functional medicine pioneers, and I've learned how to reset stomach acid. And that's ultimately the #1 reason why people are sick, is because they don't have enough stomach acid, and they've got compromised digestion, they've got leaky gut. So okay, if Adam's still here, I can talk about the gluten enzyme. That was with regards to my post today. Can you help with Crohn's? Yes, absolutely. Crohn's is an autoimmune condition. Crohn's is some serious inflammation in your gut. And Rowan, you got to understand, the gut is some of the fastest regenerating organ in your body, right? Every 3 to 5 days, you've got a brand new gut lining. Now, if you're not providing the body with the building blocks and the fundamental micronutrients to repair and replace adequate cells on a single cellular level, and then as an organal level, then the cells are just going to continue regenerating, and they're not going to be functioning at an optimum level. So when someone has Crohn's, their body is just regenerating those cells. They're just regenerating exactly the way that they were. In fact, they're getting worse and worse and worse, right? So you've got to do a complete sort of overhaul. But Crohn's, I've worked with so many people to reverse Crohn's. It's very, very manageable, contrary to what your specialist in your gastro would tell you. So Rowan, send me a message and we can discuss that. Dietitian Dandy 2030, great video. The gut and the brain connection is incredible, and I think people are finally starting to get this information and research. Yeah, absolutely. Glad you agree. Balton 1, I have H. pylori, low stomach acid. I won't go on antibiotics. How do I get rid of H. pylori? So it depends on how severe and how strong and how long you've had H. pylori for. Even me as a holistic practitioner, in some cases, I will recommend that they do the dose of antibiotics. However, working with me, so then now we've got the natural nutraceuticals to complement the efforts of the antibiotics, but at the same time rebuild. Because most doctors and GPs and gastros they're going to say no, don't take probiotics. Just for example, if you're treating your H. pylori, where I'm going to say yes, you do. You just treat it accordingly and you time it accordingly. So I've worked with a lot of clients and helped them recover from H. pylori. It's a little challenging, like it's in depth. That's all it is. But there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel for you, Baltan. You can totally fix it. Low stomach acid is the cause for H. pylori. H. pylori wouldn't develop if you didn't have adequate stomach acid. So of course, I already know you've got low stomach acid, and you just said that, right? So you address them both at the same time so that you prevent it from ever happening again. Can you help with depression after? I literally just graduated 2 women. One was taking Cipralex and one was taking Effexor. The one was taking Cipralex for about 2 years, not anymore. And the one that was taking Effexor, 25 years off. And I've got tons. Actually, you know what? Do I have a video? Oh, it expired. I made a post yesterday. Tell you what, maybe I'll post it on maybe tomorrow or my stories. But I helped another woman. She was on antidepressants for years and years and years and years. Here's the thing, guys. Your gut is largely responsible for the production of your neurotransmitters, serotonin and dopamine. And so if you have dysbiosis, if you don't have a healthy gut, you're not going to be producing the right amount of neurotransmitters. They're not going to be able to travel up into the brain to allow you to respond to stressors accordingly. So you don't have an SSRI deficiency, right? It's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Did the nutrient deficiency cause the neurotransmitter deficiency, or did the neurotransmitter deficiency cause sort of like the imbalanced thinking? In my opinion, we address them both. We go with the gut as well as your perceptions, and then we can fix that. So you do need some proper compounds, some proper foods, and some supplements to help with depression. But absolutely, you got to do it properly. And I would never recommend to come off antidepressants like that cold turkey without sort of a protocol to graduate yourself off of that. So send me a message and I can totally help you, because I literally just did it a few weeks ago. Graduated 2 women off of their antidepressant medication done. So happy. Dietitian says, how long do you say that it takes to really heal your gut? Yeah, in my experience, it depends on how severe someone is, and it depends on how sick they were or how toxic they were. But I've seen major turnarounds in as little as 3 to 4 weeks. Major. But you've just got to do the right thing. Like, for example, I'm a big proponent and advocate of juice cleanses. Big. But so many people think that, I can heal my gut and I can reset my gut in 3 days by doing a juice cleanse. No, you can't. No, you cannot. You need the right building blocks to heal and seal the gut. You need the right building blocks to improve the immune system. You need the right building blocks to securely tighten those tight junctions of the gut so that they don't get damaged, and so they don't break apart, and so they don't regenerate already sort of damaged and not functioning properly. So the gut can be healed. You can completely reverse leaky gut. It just takes a little while with strategy. So for anyone, guys, I'm going to say this right now. If anyone tells you online, and you see online that you can reset your gut in 3 days or a week or 5 days, they're wrong. They are incorrect. They might be able to incorporate little tools and strategies, and they might be able to make you feel a little bit better. I call that the honeymoon phase. So a lot of people have the honeymoon phase when they go on vegan or vegetarian diets. Yeah, why? Because they've eliminated a lot of the problematic foods. But eventually down the road, they're going to get more symptoms again. So dietitian says, thanks for answering. Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. I am Matt. Thanks so much. We'll DM you. Appreciate you taking the time. Brother, I love doing this. I'm so passionate about it and enthusiastic about it. I've been doing this for such a long time, and I'm doing a disservice to humanity if I don't do this. I've learned from some of the greatest human beings in the world, and I'm so grateful because I get to do this and I get to share this and I get to help so many people. So thank you for tuning in and being part of the live, and I hope you took some notes. And guys, by all means, guys and gals, please send me a message. I hope you resonate with this. And if you want to be part of my gut rehabilitation protocol, where in less than 6 weeks, I can completely heal and seal your leaky gut, get rid of bloating, get rid of inflammation, get rid of brain fog, get rid of anxiety, lose some pounds if that's what you want. Most people just lose weight just by default when you heal and seal the gut. And then we can really, really hone in and improve your body. Guaranteed. I've got hundreds and hundreds of testimonials. So thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. Please send me a message if this resonates with you and you want to work together. I'm more than happy to arrange a call. And good night. Good night. I'm actually going to teach my facilitators right now. So I'm really, really inspired to do that. So once again, guys, good night. Good night. Thanks so much for tuning in. And I will see you guys later. Gut Whisperer out.